Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari.
What will you do on the day of judgment when there is
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. All glories to your lotus feet, Maharaj. All glories to Sabud Vaishnava devotees. Hare Krishna, thank you for being here, Maharaj. Maharaj, please, your microphone is muted.
Is that better?
Yes, I can hear you, but your voice is a little low.
Okay. How's that? Is it better?
Yes, this is much better. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for being here. Well, devotees, as always, we are very much honored to have His Holiness with us today. Maharaj, I believe this is your first time with us on this platform.
That's correct, yes.
Okay. So, on behalf of Hare Krishna Africa, my name is Sahadev, the Richard. On behalf of Hare Krishna Africa, we say thank you so much for honoring our invitation to be with us today. There isn't many devotees here at the moment, but devotees will be joining. I would like to introduce you to the devotees so devotees may get to know you a little better. But we may do that at the end of the Krishna Katha, by which time we would have had many more devotees. But the standard or the protocol we follow is just like a temple room setting. So we'll put the Srimad Bhagavatam verse on the screen, and then you being the speaker, you chant the slokas. Some devotees also like to chant the Jai Radha Madhava. Some devotees just go by Srila Prabhupada's Jai Radha Madhava, which we just finished playing. And then if you decide to just go by Srila Prabhupada's, then we'll put the verse on the screen, you chant the slokas. Sometimes also, some speakers would like the devotees to respond to the chanting of the slokas. Other times, lots of the speakers do not because it creates echo. And then you do the translation, purport, and then you share your insights. Then devotees may ask questions or share their comments. And we usually spend about an hour, 30 minutes for the katha and the Q&A, questions and answers. But it's up to you, the speaker. There are no hard and fast rules of speaking Bhagavatam here. So again, on behalf of every devotee here and whoever may be watching us live on YouTube, we say thank you so much for being here with us, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
So we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 9, Text 16. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yomvaham cha kirishascha vibhusvayam cha stityud bhava balaya yetava atmalum mulam vidpatripad Bhavrata eka guru parahas tasmai namo bhagavate bhuvanadrumaya. Translation. Your Lordship is the prime root of the tree of the planetary system. This tree has grown by first penetrating the material nature in free trunks, as me, Shiva, and you, the Almighty, for creation, maintenance, and dissolution. And we free have grown with many branches. Therefore, I offer my obeisances unto you, the tree of the cosmic manifestation. And Srila Prabhupada's purport. The cosmic manifestation is grossly divided into three worlds: the upper, the lower, and middle planetary systems. And then it is broadened into the cosmos of 14 planetary systems, with the manifestation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the supreme root. Material nature, which appears to be the cause of the cosmic manifestation, is only the agency or energy of the Lord. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 9:10. Mayadakshena prakrite suyate satcharacharam. Only under the superintendence of the Supreme Lord does material nature appear to be the cause of all creation, maintenance, and dissolution. The Lord expands himself into three, Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva, for maintenance, creation, and destruction, respectively. Of the three principal agents controlling the three modes of nature, Vishnu is the Almighty. Even though he is within material nature for the purpose of maintenance, he is not controlled by the laws of material nature. The other two, Brahma and Shiva, although almost as greatly powerful as Vishnu, are within the control of the material energy of the Supreme Lord. The conception of many gods controlling the many departments of material nature is ill-conceived of by the foolish pantheists. God is one without second, and he is the primary cause of all causes. As there are many departmental heads of governmental affairs, so there are many heads of the management of the universal affairs. Due to a poor fund of knowledge, the impersonalists does not believe in the personal management of things as they are. But in this verse, it is clearly explained that everything is personal and nothing is impersonal. We have already discussed this point in the introduction, and it is confirmed here in this verse. The tree of the material manifestation is described in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita as an Ashwatha tree wherein roots is upwards. We have actually experienced of such a tree when we see the shadow of a tree on the bank of a reservoir of water. The relationship of the tree on the water appears to hang down from its upward roots. The tree of creation described here is only a shadow of the reality which is Param Brahma, Parabrahman. Vishnu in the internal potency manifests in the Vaikunthas. The actual tree exists, and the tree reflected in the material nature is only the shadow of this actual tree. The impersonalist theory that Brahman is void of all variegatedness is false, because the shadow tree described in the Bhagavad Gita cannot exist without being the reflection of a real tree. The real tree is situated in the eternal existence of the spiritual nature, full of transcendental varieties, and Lord Vishnu is the root of that tree also. The root is the same, the Lord, both for the real tree and for the false. But the false tree is only the perverted reflection of the real tree. The Lord, being the real tree, is here offering obeisances. The real tree, the Lord being the real tree, is here offered obeisances by Brahma on his own behalf and also on behalf of Lord Shiva. Om Agnyatimanandasya Jananjana Salakaya Chaksuramilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Damayam Dati Svapadantikam Mandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapat Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sajvidatam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha. Hey Krishna Karana Sindhu Dino Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, dear devotees, thank you for your invitation to your ongoing Srimad Bhagavatam classes. And it's interesting how the Srimad Bhagavatam is the sum and substance of all the Vedic literature. the Srimad Bhagavatam is the source of knowledge by which all beings, all personalities, whether they are impersonalists, whether they're non-devotees, impersonalists, jnanis, yogis, or atheists, this Srimad Bhagavatam gives direct insight in, specifically as we are speaking today on the topic of creation, that even through creation, even through the workings of creation, Krishna or Vishnu is the supreme cause of all causes. So everything is subordinate to Krishna. This is the theme of today's verse, that there are many ideas which are being propagated as to how the universe has been created and is running. But the Srimad Bhagavatam is the key or the essence which distinguishes reality from the illusion which is sometimes spoken. One time, Prabhupada was on a morning walk, and he had one scientist devotee with him, and they were discussing this point about, how the materialistic scientists, they have theories and probabilities, but they have no real facts. And their conclusion is that one day we will find, or we will come across this missing link. And this was what they said their problem. We just need to find the missing link, and finding the missing link, everything will be more clear to us. So Prabhupada, at that time, of course, this was amongst devotees. This was not a public engagement. It was amongst devotees on a morning walk. And Prabhupada said, "What is this missing link?" He said, "Yes, the missing link is my boot in your face." He said, "Missing link is the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the essence of all teachings. And through the Srimad Bhagavatam, all knowledge is revealed to us in detail." Recently, I've been also reading the Brahma Samhita, prayers by Lord Brahma. And of course, Lord Brahma is mentioned here in this verse. He's actually praying on behalf of himself and Lord Shiva to the Supreme Lord Vishnu, offering obeisances, knowing full well that if it wasn't for Vishnu or Krishna, this creation would not exist. And they were just assisting, part of this assisting aspect and maintaining aspect of the creation. And there's a nice description of the different attributes, the different attributes, which is also mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that Krishna is the possessor of all attributes, 100%. And all the Mahatattva expansions. or the Vishnu Tattva expansions, they have 93%. Lord Shiva possesses almost 84%. And Lord Brahma possesses almost in full 78%. And the other demigods have lesser quantities. And the jiva possesses up to the limit of 78% if he has become pure. But in the conditioned state, of course, we are falling very short of in any qualifications at all. But through Krishna consciousness, we can rise to higher levels of attributes, which can come up to the level of the demigods. So this cosmic hierarchy is explained because some say that the gods are equal, but the truth is there is a cosmic hierarchy. There is Krishna, who is the owner and proprietor of all the existence, and there is innumerable subordinates who serve him. Just like in a company, there is a natural hierarchy extending from the owner to the managing director, the works manager, the shop superintendent, down to the supervisors and workers. So this is a natural flow of personalities within a company, and in the same way, the cosmic maintenance is also in the same light. That the root, of course, is Krishna himself, or Vishnu, and all the other demigods, which are totaling 33 million demigods. They are subordinate and assisting in these universal affairs. However, there's always this problem with, especially within India. I remember when I first went to India back in 1973, I was attending I think it was the second Mayapur festival. The first Mayapur festival was 1972. We had this Mayapur Vrindavan festival. It was a joint festival which Prabhupada wanted devotees to come to in order to recharge their batteries and so they can return to their preaching places and become always inspired in propagating Krishna consciousness. So in 1972, as far as I understand, only 20 devotees attended. In 1973, there were about 200 of us. And on the morning walk, Prabhupada stopped at one point. We were walking around the land of Mayapur, and Prabhupada, he stopped at one point and said, you should know that this is my international headquarters. And of course, at that time, there was only one building. It was the Lotus building, and it only had just been completed. It hadn't been even painted, but it was livable. And all around that one building, there were paddy fields. And we really couldn't understand what Prabhupada was meaning when he said that this was his international headquarters. Of course, nowadays, there's no question of that being misunderstood. We were thinking at that time Los Angeles was the headquarters, But Prabhupada had a deep, spiritual vision of the future. And it was all predicted also by different Charyas, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Jananda Prabhu. They all predicted how that temple would rise. And from that temple, Krishna consciousness would be spread profusely throughout the world. So we can see today how this prediction has come to pass. And within a few years, we'll open the temple of understanding. The understanding will be that people will walk in ignorance. If they're coming, especially for the first time, they walk into the temple in ignorance, and they will walk out full of knowledge. So we're trying to establish the essence of the Siddhanta of Krishna consciousness. But I remember those days when I first came to India, there were a lot of challengers, challenging even Krishna, not only challenging us who are Westerners being born in Malecha families, but being given by Srila Prabhupada Brahmin initiation. Many of Prabhupada's godbrothers were very upset with that, and especially the ladies being given the same facilities. And Prabhupada made certain changes in his society because he could see from his experience in America that if women were not included, then the men would never present or find Krishna consciousness appealing. So anyway, these challenges, I remember once I was in Bombay and sannyasi at that time was giving an evening class. And in that class, it was a wonderful class. I remember to this day many of the details of the class. And but even though it was a very, very in-depth Krishna conscious class, there were some challenges after the class. One man, he stood up and he challenged the speaker. Why Krishna, Krishna, Krishna? Why you always talk about Krishna, Krishna, Krishna? Why not Durga? Why not Shiva? Why not Ganesh? This was the challenge. And I was quite surprised at the time because I hadn't long been in India, and I really hadn't really understood, because I originally just expected that most people in India would be devotees of Krishna, but I started to understand that there were a greater majority that were demigod worshippers, and that they actually, were challenged on the basis that there are 33 million demigods. There's only one Krishna. Why you just, talk about Krishna? In a mood that, they were considering Krishna on the same level as all these demigods. So I was waiting for the answer. It was a wonderful reply the sannyasi gave, which left the challenger speechless, to say the least. So sannyasi said, he said, if all the gods are the same, which is what he said, if all the gods are the same, then why you're leaving out Krishna? what is the problem with Krishna? Why are you so upset with Krishna? And then he answered that question. He said, yes, you're upset with Krishna because Krishna, he is Hari. He is the Lord that takes things away from you. This is the basic difference between demigod worship and Krishna worship. The demigods will give you whatever you want, whereas Krishna will only give you what you need, because in devotional service, sometimes there are things that we have that we don't need. So Krishna takes them away, and he may only take it away for a certain time and then give it back, because by that time you will know how to use whatever opulence you had. So this is the main problem, that the Hindus who worship demigods, they're materialistic persons who are searching for material opulence. And the biggest or the biggest or largest accomplishment for a Hindu is to, at the end of life, go to Swargaloka, which is one of the topmost planet in the universe. Swargaloka is very, very opulent. And this is, what they consider the ultimate goal of worship. Not understanding that there's even higher goals. And in the Brahma Samhita, and in the Srimad Bhagavatam, this is very wonderfully explained. The difference between the goal of the demigod worshippers and the goal of a Vaishnava, Krishna conscious person. So one is temporary and one is eternal, and this is the main crux of the problem with demigod worship, is that even though you may get what you want, fair enough, you get what you want, but you cannot keep it. And even if you go to the place where you want to go, you cannot stay there. So ultimately, these are temporary achievements, temporary goals, temporary opulence, which are not going to ultimately satisfy you. Whereas in the spiritual dimension, one satisfaction is complete. And this is explained in my book, because in the purport, there was an explanation of the different trees. One is the tree in the spiritual world, which has wonderful fruits, which you can pick and enjoy. And then it's a reflection of the tree, which are temporary fruits, which they're not illusory fruits. There's some happiness in the material world, but the main problem is it's temporary. So I'm just showing you the book that I produced. It's called Wisdom, Reality versus Illusion. So this is the spiritual world, the tree of the spiritual world with the many fruits which someone is there picking, a devotee is picking. And here are the reflection, there's a reflection in the water of the illusory tree, where there is also fruits and someone is also picking the fruits, but will not get the satisfaction in comparison to the enjoyment in the material, in the spiritual world. So I'm just going to read some of the notes that I wrote in regards to this particular story, which explains the difference between the spiritual world versus the material world. In the Bhagavad Gita 15:1, Krishna says that the material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. Real society, friendship, and love exist in the spiritual world, but the material world is a temporary existence, not a temporary existence, like a mirage in the desert. We are informed that we are informed of this, that we may not wander like restless, foolish animal in search of water in a desert. No one can obtain water in the desert. This does not mean that water is not available anywhere. Water is present in huge rivers and oceans. Similarly, the material world is a wrong place to search for happiness, and such a search only leads to frustration. However, this does not mean that nobody can be happy anywhere. Real happiness lies in the spiritual world and is achievable by true loving surrender to God. The spiritual world is like a mango tree on the bank of a river, having many ripened mangoes hanging from it. The material world is like the perverted reflection of the mango tree upside down in the river's waters. If a fool dives into the river in search of mangoes, can he obtain any mangoes? He can at best only damage his head. One should not try to enjoy life for material sense gratification. One can derive the best enjoyment by serving the master of the senses, God. This spiritual pleasure is the real pleasure which is everlasting and worthy of seeking. One who can get out of the bodily concept and engage in the activities of the soul is free from the disease of material existence and can experience this spiritual pleasure. There is also a passage in the 6th canto, 3rd chapter, text 12, and Yamaraj is speaking that confirming what we have already mentioned, that Krishna is the one who is subordinate. We are all subordinate to Krishna. This is the main purport of this verse. Yamaraj said, "My dear servant, you have accepted me as the supreme, but factually I am not. Above me and above all the other demigods, including Indra and Chandra, is the one supreme master and controller. The partial manifestation of his personality are Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, who are in charge of the creation, maintenance, annihilation of this universe. He is like the two threads that form the length and breadth of the woven cloth. The entire world is controlled by him, just as a bull is controlled by a rope in its nose." And in Prabhupada's purport, he points out further, therefore, although Yamaraj is a controller, he is only a departmental controller of a few living entities. There are other demigods who control many other departments, but above them all is one supreme controller, Krishna. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha. The Supreme Controller is Krishna. Others who control their own department in the affairs of the universe are significant in comparison to Krishna, are insignificant in comparison to Krishna, Supreme Controller. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita 7:7, Mata Parataram Nanyat, Kinchit Asti Dhananjaya, my dear Dhananjaya, no one is superior to me. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam 11.1, there's also an interesting, this is Bhagavad Gita 11.1. There's also a passage where Arjuna, he's very enlightened and glad that he has such a friend as Lord Krishna. But he's thinking, well, I know Krishna is God, but not everyone does know. So he asked Krishna, can you show me the source of everything? Because otherwise, others in the future may not understand you. So in order to establish Krishna's divinity for all, he is requesting Krishna in this chapter to show his universal form. This is the first reason. So, of course, Krishna had to give him some divine eyes in order to see it, because this form, though it's an illusory form, it's all expanding. And unless Krishna controlled it, it would be too much for Arjuna to see. So anyway, Krishna gave him specific eyes to see the universal form. And this request was to establish Krishna's divinity over all. And the second reason why he wanted to see this universal form was in order to convince others in the future who may think that Krishna is an ordinary person. So Arjuna desired to see him actually in his universal form, to see how he is acting from within the universe, although he is actually apart from it too. And then there's a third reason, which is explained in text 11.3. Arjuna wanted to see the universal form to set a criteria for in the future there would be so many impostors who would pose themselves as incarnations of God. One who claims to be Krishna should be prepared to show his universal form, to confirm his claims to be claims to the people. I remember also when I first joined, because in those days there was the hippie movement, and there were actually, even before I joined, I saw the universal form on a record album. And this must have been back in somewhere around 60, 67, maybe 68, where Jimi Hendrix, who was a popular singer at that time, he had taken away Vishnu's face in the center of the universal form. There was a face of Lord Vishnu. he took away that face and put his own face there. And at that time, of course, I didn't know anything about anything really, and especially the universal form. It looked good, and Jimi Hendrix, in the center. I felt that it was befitting because he was a good musician. Of course, when I came to Krishna consciousness and then I was studying the Bhagavad Gita and read this chapter and saw the picture of the universal form, I realized, how offensive, Jimi Hendrix was to replace his picture within the universal form. And also when I joined, there were also a lot of imposters around that time who were claiming to be God. There was one such person, his name was Maharishi Yogi. And I remember we were very concerned about him. We devotees were very concerned. Anyone who was challenging Krishna like that, because he was claiming to be Krishna. He was claiming to be Krishna's incarnate. And he had many followers. And it was a kind of a little bit of a challenge for us to accept this, that, we were following the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and here's this person, claiming that he's an incarnation of Krishna. When Prabhupada in his books clearly mentions that there is no incarnations at this particular time that will descend and appear as a Vishnu Tattva or as Krishna himself. So it was out of the question that this person who claimed he was Krishna, was actually, telling the truth. Of course, at some point, I think it was his mother exposed him for his lies. And in one presentation he was giving, in one big hall where there were thousands of people to see him and hear him, someone came up on the stage, on the platform where he was sitting, and threw a cream cake in his face. And when we questioned that amongst his followers, how come you're God? He gets the cream cake given to him in his face. And their reply was, that's not the problem. That's one of his leelas to offset, any truth that their guru was actually a fake. Anyway, those that try don't last very long. And this is our challenge, if we meet such a person. Oh, you're a God, are you? Okay. All right. Can you show me your universal form, perhaps? That wouldn't be too difficult for you if you're a God. And then I'll believe you. But there's also some statements further in the Srimad Bhagavatam where it is also making it very clear that all activities are meant to please the Supreme Lord, Krishna or Vishnu. This is in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.5.15. Narayana Paraveda Deva Narayanangaja Narayana Paraloka Narayana Paralaka. The Vedic literatures are made by and are meant for the Supreme Lord. The demigods are also meant for serving the Lord as part of his body. The different planets are also meant for the sake of the Lord, and different sacrifices are performed just to please him. Prabhupada mentions in his purport, Veda means knowledge and leads to the Lord. The Vedas are made just to revive the forgotten consciousness of the conditioned souls. And any literature not meant for reviving God consciousness is rejected at once by the Narayana para bodies. Such deluded books of knowledge, not having Narayan as their aim, are not at all knowledge, but are the playground for crows who are interested in rejected refuge of the world. Any book of knowledge, science, or art must lead to the knowledge of Narayan. Otherwise, it must be rejected. So this is also stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam that there are two kinds of persons. One is the swan-like person, and the other is the crow-like person. The swan and the crow, they are very much different. As we know, the swan, it looks beautiful, firstly. It's not only beautiful, it's very peaceful. It's swimming in a natural environment. It's not attached. It has a different sleeping place each night. And when drinking milk, it can extract the water from the cream, from the milk, and keep the cream, drink the cream. It has a lot of wonderful qualities. It's very, very peaceful. So that's the swan, and it's compared to the Vaishnava devotees who are only interested in swan-like activities. But then there's the crow. The crow is very, very, very attached to his nesting place. If you ever pass a nesting place of crows, they make it clear that don't walk in this area. We have our nests here. And they start to make their crack, 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 very loud, horribly loud, snaring sound. Go away, go away. This is our nesting place. We don't want you here. It's like dogs also. They bark as you pass their house. Go away, go away. You're not welcomed here. You're not even allowed to pass my house. Go away, go away. So this is crow. Crows are also, they love to pick around in the garbage bins. They make a mess. They take everything out of the garbage bin, examine everything, and see if they can have something to eat. So they don't eat very wonderful food often. So they don't make any discrimination with what kind of food they eat. Whatever they can find, they will eat it. And the crow, it doesn't look very beautiful. So it doesn't look beautiful. It's dark, feathers, it's noisy, it's attached. And it's, in general, not very pleasant. So this is compared to the non-devotee consciousness of non-devotee people. These two birds are described, comparing the difference between non-devotee and devotee. and it goes on in the next verse. Narayana Paro Yoga, Narayana Param Tapa, Narayana Param Jnana, Narayana Paragati. All different types of meditation or mysticism are means for realizing Narayan. All austerities are aimed at achieving Narayan. Culture of transcendental knowledge is for getting a glimpse at Narayan, and ultimately salvation is entering the kingdom of Narayan. Of course, this point about the kingdom of Narayan, we can also make a clear distinction not only between the Brahma Jyoti, which is the impersonalist ultimate liberation place, and the abode of Lord Narayan, which is within the kingdom of Narayan, but it's not within the palace. There's a distinction between the kingdom and the palace. So this is explained that the palace is Goloka Vrindavan. This is Krishna's home. Krishna in his home is different than Krishna within his kingdom, where he may have to do certain, different activities which he wouldn't do within his kingdom, within his home. Prabhupada gives an example of high court judge, that high court judge is very much respected in the courts. Even if the high court judge's father has to come to court, the father needs to respect the judge. But in the home, there's no such same respect needed, because within the family members, then there's a different mode. But in the home, there's a different mode, and the king acts, or the judge acts in a different way. So a difference between the Vaikuntha planets, where the Lord is worshipped in awe and reverence, in Goloka Vrindavan, the residents there, they're lovers of Krishna. They dance with Krishna. They play with Krishna. And this is another nice point to make, that in all this mention of Vishnu assisting in the cause of creation, it is different than Krishna himself, because while that is all going on under the direction of Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, Kshirodakshay Vishnu, Krishna himself is at home, and he's playing, he's dancing, he's playing his flute, herding the cows. So this is Krishna at home. Therefore, these different goals need to be understood. We as devotees need to know where we're going, where we want to go, what is our destination. Just like in any journey, whenever we take a journey or we're engaged in some sporting race, we must know the length and breadth of the race. We want to know where we start and where we finish, so we can pace ourselves differently to achieve the ultimate goal. So the ultimate goal, as stated also in the Brahma Samhita and Srimad Bhagavatam, is the Goloka Vrindavan. It is not Dwarka, it is not Purushottam. It is not Ayodhya, and it's not the Vaikuntha planet. Krishna at home is Krishna in Vrindavan, where he's there having loving pastimes with his devotees. And there's no such thing as hierarchy. Krishna takes a position of a servant to his friends. He can climb on his friend's back and they can climb on his back. So many sporting games where Krishna, he appears equally as a friend to each one of the gopas, and same with the gopis. So Krishna, he also does not see the spiritual world or Goloka Vrindavan as his place. When we go back home, back to Godhead, to this ultimate destination, Krishna, first thing he will do is embrace us. He will welcome us. He will see us coming. He will come to us. He will embrace us and he will ask, so where have you been? I've been missing you. Because Krishna considers every part and parcel important. From where he is standing, we're all important to him, and his leelas are not complete without us. We may think, or we may conclude that the spiritual world, there must be so many hundreds and billions and trillions and unlimited parts and parcels already there. It is explained like that. Only a small percentage come to this world to act independently. So we're the ones who are acting independently. And we have made lots of mistakes. But we're trying now to rectify that. But sometimes we wonder, does Krishna, does he really want to, does he really need us back home? Does he need us? What does he need me for? I am such an insignificant rascal. But from where Krishna is standing, yes, he does need us and he does love us. And there's an incompleteness within his home if we are not there. So when we do return, he's obliged, not even obliged, but he's feeling overwhelmed that if you return, if you have returned, I don't really care what you have done in the past, but I'm really happy that you have returned. And then he points to this whole spiritual landscape and says, and this is all yours. I'm sharing this with you. You don't have to be in anxiety anymore. Relax and play with me. So these are different activities and how we can attain the highest goal. There's also a statement by Lord Brahma 10:14-38. Beholding the unlimited opulence of Krishna and feeling dwarfed by the manifestation of other Brahmas or universes, Brahma felt like a rabbit amidst many elephants. He said, there are people who say, I know everything about Krishna. Let them think in that way. As far as I'm concerned, I do not wish to say very much about this matter. Oh, my Lord, let me say this much. As far as your opulence is concerned, They are all beyond the reach of my mind, body, and words. This is also about Krishna putting himself in a subordinate position to his devotees. I'll just finish with this. It's a very interesting point. That in Srimad Bhagavatam 1:11:4, it is explained the citizens arrived came before the Lord with their respective presentations, offering them to the fully satisfied and self-sufficient one, who by his own potency incessantly supplies others. These presentations were like the offering of lamps to the sun, yet the citizens began to speak an ecstatic language to receive their Lord, just as wards welcome their guardians and fathers. So in Prabhupada's purport, he mentions how Krishna is Atmaram. He is self-satisfied and is in need of nothing, especially, and Prabhupada points out the fact here that we make offerings to the Lord, and by his causeless mercy only, he accepts our offerings. But if we were to think, clearly, what we actually can offer Krishna, what he doesn't already have. So there really isn't anything that Krishna wants for himself, except the exchange of loving devotion, a reciprocation with the Lord in loving devotional service. And then the Lord is very obliged to take a subordinate position, so much so that he even can make the devotee more popular or more stronger, more able to conduct a certain activity in front of him, who is the source of all knowledge and intelligence. He takes a subordinate position just to put his devotee into a glorious position. He takes his subordinate position on the altar in the form of the deities, standing before us hours and hours throughout the day and accepting the offerings we make, although he doesn't need for himself, but he's assisting us in our own service to him. And he can take a subordinate position and serve the devotee. And there can even be some kind of competition where there's a competition where the devotee and Krishna, they're competing with each other as to who would serve the other better or most. And then lastly, there's a statement in regards to Mother Yasoda, that if we want to be important and powerful, become a servant of Krishna. How fortunate is Mother Yasoda, who is holding Anantakoti Brahmanya, the powerful Lord, who all the universes are being held by. She's holding him. So by your love, you can become more powerful than God. Devotees can enjoy more than Krishna. Service is so wonderful, Lord Chaitanya. Also so wonderful that the devotees experience can be more enjoyable than the Lord's enjoyment. is one of the reasons why Lord Chaitanya himself descended, as he could understand that Srimati Radharani's enjoyment was far greater than his. So he descended for many purposes, but the main purpose was to find out what is this pleasure that the devotees are enjoying when they reach the higher levels of Krishna Prema. So I'll conclude with that. And if there are any questions that anyone would like to ask, then I'll try and facilitate by answering.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Maharaj. So beautiful. So beautiful and so satisfying. Dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, comments, reflections, realizations, you may want to ask or share, please indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked to unmute to ask your question or share your reflections. Hare Krishna. Govinda Prabhu, please, you may unmute.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Maharaj, please kindly accept my respectful obeisances.
Please accept mine.
Our glories to you and your service to Srila Prabhupada. My respectful obeisances to the devotees. Maharaj, could you please explain a little further about your statement that we should aim towards going to Vrindavan? Because I know living entities have different relationship with the Lord, and some of the relationship that the living entities has is with some of the Lord's incarnations, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like Lord Jagannath. These forms of the Lord, some of them are found in Vaikuntha Loka, and we have devotees have particular attachment and relationship with such forms. So if you say that we should aim towards Vrindavan, I would like you to kind of clarify that point so I can understand better. Thank you.
Okay. Well, Lord Chaitanya is not in Vaikuntha. That's one point. He has his own abode in one of the petals of the lotus flower in Goloka Vrindavan. My understanding is that when a devotee achieves perfection, he actually can take two forms, one amongst the congregational devotees who are serving Lord Chaitanya, and also he can also take a form in the Krishna Lila too. But this point that I made that we all have a choice, yes, there is no doubt about that, but we have an eternal identity which will be revealed to us. But in general, as far as my understanding is that followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu go to Goloka Vrindavan because his pastimes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, at least 2/3 of the Leelas that are mentioned there in the Madhya Leela and Antya Leela are directing us to Goloka Vrindavan.
Okay. Yeah, what about forms like Lord Nrsimhadev? One becomes so attached to Lord Nrsimhadev, and someone also has attachment to Lord Narayan.
Hmm.
So these devotees, where do they go?
That's fine. There's no contradiction in regards to where a devotee wants to go. As I said, it's the kingdom of God, and that's where we're going back home, back to God. It can mean a number of things, starting with Vaikuntha planets. That is the beginning of the kingdom of God. The difference between the kingdom of God and God's home in Goloka Vrindavan is the mood of service. As far as the opulence and as far as the ecstasies are concerned, they're the same. So there's no objection that I see within our Siddhanta philosophy that if you want to go to the Vaikuntha planets and serve any of the lords there, you're quite welcome to. It's just a difference, you see. There's a difference in all in reverence. And that all in reverence mode is different in Goloka Vrindavan. And the difference is that in all in reverence, you cannot get anywhere close to Lord Narayan. You will have a circle, many circles around him. You will have to penetrate those circles if you want to get anywhere close to being present before Lord Narayan. Although it's a wonderful place and time is eternal, the opulence is unlimited. People have 4 arms. There's so much opulence. Inconceivably great place. But the mood is all in reverence. Whereas in Goloka Vrindavan, you can play with Krishna. Krishna doesn't restrict you in any fashion or form. You're almost like you're one with Krishna. And Krishna doesn't see himself. Neither does he see himself as God, and neither does he want anyone entering into Goloka Vrindavan thinking he is God. Because that aspect of all in reverence is not, well, it's present in Goloka Vrindavan, but not in the way which is present in the Vaikuntha planets. Because there is a lot of opulence too in Goloka Vrindavan. But in regards to the relationships, that no one there sees Krishna as God Almighty. They see him as their young boy, as parent sees a young boy, as friend sees another friend, and as lover sees as a lover. This is my understanding. I hope I answered the question.
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah, the question is answered. Thank you very, very much. And my last question, so others can also come in. Can you also please explain, there are different symptoms of love of Godhead that is sometimes exhibited by the great devotees. Like when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was on the planet, such exhibitions of love of Godhead manifested in his activities. Sometimes he will shed tears, sometimes, he will fall unconscious while doing kirtans, and many more. Why do we see such exhibitions of expressions of love of Godhead? Is it because we have the material body which is limited or cannot contain that much love of God? Is that the reason why we experience such things, such symptoms manifest in our bodies? Or is the same thing going on in the spiritual world, those who actually have spiritual bodies and live in the spiritual realms? How is their life? Do they also experience such symptoms like shedding tears and crying and falling down and become unconscious and stuff like that? Is it because we have the physical body, that's why we have such symptoms and we cannot contain the love of Godhead? Or that is the life also going on in the spiritual world?
Good question. I like to go there and find out. Yes, I was just reading the biography of Narottam Das Maharaja, and Lord Chaitanya put a container of love of God in and gave it to the Padmavati lake. And this was even before Narottam was even born. Because when he entered the lake, he shouted, "Narottam, Narottam!" And he said, as he was shouting like that, the devotees were wondering, who's Narottam? Never heard of Narottam. And then they saw Lord Chaitanya pass this container of Krishna Prema to the personification of Padmavati Lake. He said to her, "Please give this to Narottam. He is not yet born, but keep it for him. And you will know that Narottam has entered your waters, just like you knew when I entered your waters started to move like waves. So Narottam will come to your waters, and you will know he has arrived, and please give him this container of nectar." So when Narottam did actually finally take his bath in that lake, the personification of the water came. "So you must be Narottam." She said, "Yeah, how did you know?" So Lord Chaitanya has left this container for you. Told me to tell you to drink it right away. Which he did, and then he went into all these different ecstasies. Not only that, his body became golden, just like Lord Chaitanya's hue was golden. He also became the same. In ecstasy and bodily complexion, he became like a madman. He could not control himself. When his parents, because he had left the kingdom and they went searching for him, and they found him, but they couldn't even recognize him because he had changed so much. And then they assumed, because he was acting in a strange way, they assumed that a ghost had entered his body. So they took him back to the castle and sent for a physician who was like a ghostbuster. But the ghostbuster, he diagnosed Narottam, and he said, "No, this is not a ghost. He's experiencing the love of God." And for many, many days afterwards, he could not control himself. But then gradually, as the time went by, he realized he needed to control himself. He needed to pacify his parents because they were in so much anxiety. And so he exercised great control of his prema. But he knew that he could not possibly live with the parents anymore because he was only thinking of Lord Chaitanya and how to go to Vrindavan. So in answer to your question, my understanding is that, we very rarely see, even if there is someone who's has developed Krishna prema, just like Srila Prabhupada, he was 10%, pure, and he was often showing these feelings of ecstatic love for Krishna, but he would control as much as he could because he didn't want to. He had come down on the Madhyamadikari platform to preach Krishna consciousness, and although he was an Uttama Adhikari devotee, he came down to preach. And to control himself was of paramount importance because even though he gave us some ideas of what ecstasy was, mostly he controlled but it was clear that that was something that we could experience in our own life as a devotee if we were sincere and eager to meet with Krishna. But my understanding is that these different Babas, they appear one after another. But regarding Krishna prema in its fullest, the others are just shadow aspects of prema, but full prema, we would not be able to function in the world. So it's given to us, as we're leaving, and we get taken to a place where Krishna, somewhere in the universe, in one of the universes, there's always pastimes of Krishna going on in one particular universe. In that particular universe, we go to get the full training. We get the body, we get the training, and we have we practice our eternal constitutional loving relationship with Krishna in that place before going back home to Goloka Vrindavan. I'm sorry, that's as much as I can say.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Shri Govinda Prabhu, thank you for the questions, and Maharaj, thank you for the answers. Before we continue, I would like to give a very brief bio of Maharaj. Actually, I must say this is our first time having Maharaj on our platform, and we are very grateful for your association and sharing your wisdom with us. Maharaj is a direct disciple of Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. I read few biographical information on Maharaj, and Maharaj met the devotees as early as 1968. He was very, very young at the time. And then by 1972, I find 72 to be a very, very wonderful, revolutionary year. So many amazing devotees joined Srila Prabhupada in that year. My own spiritual master, His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, also joined that same year. And I've come across so many amazing Srila Prabhupada disciples who happened to join that year. So Maharaj joined that year, and soon after that, he had his Harinam initiation from Srila Prabhupada, and a year after that, he had his Brahmin initiation. And I must say, I do not know, but I must say, Maharaj seems to live the typical teachings of Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, repeating what is said in the scriptures, that there are 4 stages in one's life that one needs to go through first, especially as male devotees. One has to go through life as a brahmachari, as a grihasta, as a vanaprastha, and as a sannyasi. And Maharaj in ISKCON lived through these phases as an example for us all to follow. Maharaj was a brahmachari, he became a grihasta, he became vanaprastha, and coincidentally, with his wife, they agreed that Maharaj should take sannyas, and Maharaj did take sannyas in 2015, which is like 10 years or more ago. And Maharaj has been preaching vigorously, wildly, since that time, mostly in Europe, in Sweden. Maharaj himself is an educator and a teacher also. So he travels around the world educating people in the science of Krishna consciousness. And we are very grateful that Maharaj is here with us, sharing his love and wisdom with us, and also setting the example for us to gradually go through these 4 phases of civilized human life. So, Maharaj, we thank you so much for your service to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, which we are benefiting today. There was a time somebody was saying that, during those old sweet days. And Srila Radhanath Maharaj says, what do you mean by sweet old days? We didn't have anything. We didn't, all we had was Srila Prabhupada. So yes, in one sense we can say good old days. But fortunately for us, Maharaj and his colleagues paved the way for us to be here to have an easy access to devotional service. And we pray that we'll make better use of this easy access to devotional service to better ourselves and also help the world. So thank you so much, Maharaj, for being here, and we hope to have your association in the very near future. And I must say, Maharaj actually was born in England, in a city called Plymouth. I haven't been to England before, but I know Plymouth in the sense that I love soccer, and there is a soccer team at Plymouth. So that is how I got to know about Plymouth. So Maharaj is British. Thank you so much. But Maharaj, I have one question though. The question I have is that we understand that we are parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. And therefore, whatever qualities the Supreme Lord has, we also have them, but in smaller quantities. So while you were going through the beautiful references from the Srimad Bhagavatam to support what Srila Prabhupada was saying in the purport we read, there was one reference you made which was describing the nature of the Supreme Lord, that he's Atmaram, is self-satisfied. And it seems to me that the Lord hid this quality from us, the living entities, because it seems to me that nobody is satisfied in himself. And that is why there is so much chaos in this world. Everybody wants to go outside of himself to find happiness. So my question is, do we have at least a little bit of this quality of Krishna being Atmaram? And if we do, how do we tap into it so that we can relish this self-satisfied happiness within ourselves before we even try to go out to look for happiness outside? Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj.
Well, you know, the happiness, as I read in my book, the happiness of this world is very relative. It's nothing to speak of. But from the spiritual point of view, we are eternal, we're full of knowledge and full of ananda, eternal bliss, which in themselves goes free and indicate that we are also self-satisfied in that sense. And we experience this within Krishna consciousness, that when you have Krishna, you have everything. You don't need to go running around, you know, making experiments as to whether this is going to make us happy or this is going to make us happy, but rather taking shelter of Krishna. Krishna is Hrishikesha, so he's the master of all the senses, so he can master our senses. Krishna is Yogeshwar, he's the master of all mystic perfections. He can give us mystic perfections. You know, when I first became a devotee, after 1 year, I could move my right ear.
Wow.
And after another year, my left ear. And then after 3 years, I could move both ears differently up and down. So it's one of the things I show children, because I do some children's workshops, and Prabhupada said that children, you should show them a little magic, because if you show them magic, they will chant after that. So this is one of the things I show them, that, you know, if you chant Hare Krishna, you'll one day be able to move your ears. So this is interesting, though, that I was able to do that. But the thing was, when I knew I could move my ears, I knew that it had to be used in Krishna's service. Because if I used them any other way, then it would not give Krishna satisfaction. So I decided to use it in Krishna's children workshops. And that way, you know, I'm happy, the children are happy, and Krishna's happy. So we need to we can satisfy Krishna, then everything is complete within that satisfaction of Krishna. I thank you also for all your association. It was very nice to meet you all. And perhaps sometime in the future, I can come back and offer something more. And if you feel that it's of some value to you.
Jai. Thank you so much, Maharaj. But Maharaj, if you wouldn't mind, there was one hand up from Her Grace Divine Energy. That's her name. The name of this devotee is Divine Energy, Divya Shakti Devi. Maharaj, if you may take her question. Divya Shakti, please, you may unmute and go ahead, please.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. I hope it's going to be a quick question. You were mentioning achieving the highest goal. And my question is, what can be or what may be an obstacle in our path, and what can be favorable on this path?
Mhm.
Thank you.
Well, our main obstacle, it's not karmic reactions, because sometimes devotees do mention this, that this is your karma problem, if there's some problem. But actually, we're not suffering from karma because our karma is already is cleaned up. The holy name can relieve us from karmic reactions, even just a short time chanting. And there are other ways in which we can relieve ourselves from reactions to previous activities. Initiation is another one. So Prabhupada explained it like that. It's like a fan, that you pull the plug out of the fan, and then the fan winds down to a very slow pace and then finally stops. So there's no more action and reaction. Our activities are spiritual. However, in chanting the holy name of the Lord, most of us are chanting in Namabas, so there is some, what shall we say, a token reaction for that. But even that can be purified if we are sincere. So one of the most important ingredients within the life of a devotee is to somehow develop the qualities of humility. If we are developing that one quality, we can access that one quality of humility. Haridas Thakur explains it's like a garland, garland over the head of the devotee, and it makes him look sweet and prepared to take on this challenge of achieving these higher heights of Krishna consciousness. So humility is important, and through that one quality, if we can achieve it, then all the other aspects are automatically achieved. We can try also to chant with sincerity, with eagerness and devotion. So that's the first part. What was the second part?
What can be an obstacle and what is the favorable?
What's favorable for us?
Favorable in terms of achieving the highest goal.
The most favorable thing in our life is that we have Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda's mercy. My understanding is that without their mercy, we would not be able to accomplish what we are accomplishing. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namani Chorus. He's the most magnificent of all Krishna's incarnations. And we're so lucky that we're present on this earth in this body only 500 years after he had left. He performed wonderful pastimes which have all been recorded. We are able to read them and study them and follow in his footsteps and the footsteps of those devotees that he trained. That means the 6 Goswamis and all the other devotees in the line of Narottam and Vishwanath Chakravarti. They're all so pure and they have left us so much. So the teachings are complete, 100% complete. They could not be more complete than what they are that has been given to us. So we're very lucky. We have nothing to complain about, really. We are so fortunate. Sometimes, of course, we don't see what we've been given. And that's understandable because it takes many years. Prophet said at least 12 years it will take for us just to forget the past impressions of our previous lives. It takes at least that much time to realize that we're a devotee. We were so covered before, we didn't even realize, what we were into. What was this we were in? What is this Hare Krishna? We don't even know when we first come. It was not, we did not decide to become Hare Krishna devotees. I never decided to become a Hare Krishna devotee. The Lord decided for me, you're going to be a devotee. And I will direct you. You will not understand until 10 years after. And it's true, Prabhupada said that. After 10 years, whatever you say and do will have some meaning. Because before you were doing it half asleep. It's just like a night's sleep. It takes a while to wake up in the morning. You don't go to the bathroom after sleeping, with great eagerness. You're half asleep still. Even while you're brushing your teeth, you're brushing them with your eyes half closed. And this is the same with us. We somehow or other, by the Lord's mercy, Lord Chaitanya's mercy, became devotees. We didn't know how it happened. It was not by our choice. It was Krishna's special favor on us. He chose us to be instrumental in helping to assist their mission in spreading Krishna consciousness. So we're so lucky, we're so lucky, we're so lucky. People who gamble and they win, they think they're lucky, 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 lucky. But you cannot compare that to the luck that the devotee has in serving Lord Chaitanya and his mission. We are so lucky. And, the amazing thing that within a short span, only 50 years has passed, and the Krishna consciousness movement is spread all over the world. Wherever you go in the world, the devotees are present. We're not in the masses. The masses are the non-devotees. That's true. But we're an organization that has survived a lot of turmoil within the organization, outside the organization, but we've passed over it. And it can only again be the reason for this is Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, Srila Prabhupada's special favor in guiding the society in a way that it will be lasting for generations to come, so that thousands and thousands of people will take up the practice and be happy. This is what Prabhupada wanted us. He said, where is such a society like ours where you can be free and you can be happy? There is no such a society. We're the only hope for the world, the only hope.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Divya Shakti Devi, thank you so much for your questions, which have led Maharaj to share more bombshell of wisdom. And we pray that we can try our little best to live this wisdom. With that being said, Maharaj, I know you just ended speaking, but if in case you had some sort of concluding remark to make, you may do that, and then we'll bring this to a final closure.
Okay.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Well, we're all in the same boat. It's Lord Chaitanya's boat. I may be a sannyasi, someone may be a grihastha. There's different varnams and ashrams, but all in all, we're all in the same boat. And it's Lord Chaitanya's boat, and Prabhupada's the captain of that boat. And the boat is crossing the ocean of material existence. This is another great favor for us that we're able to do this. There's no other way of crossing the ocean of material existence than being on Lord Chaitanya's boat. Now, as long as we stay on the boat, we're safe and sound, and we're moving forward all the time. If we are sincere, there will be no question of jumping off this boat. Of course, the boat, sometimes as boats are, they're according to the weather. If there's a storm, then the boat will rock, and the mind may say, well, I've got to get off this boat. It's rocking too much. I'm getting seasick. But someone with good intelligence will know, I'm on this boat, the boat is rocking, but my good intelligence says stay on the boat, because it's the waves that are rocking the boat that I want to jump into. Better to stay on the boat, wait for calmer days. And this is a point that must be clear, that as long as we're in the material world, we are succumb to different obstacles and temptations and difficulties. They will be there. There will always be difficulties as long as we're in this world. But if we just remember that one thing, don't jump off the boat. Stay on the boat, continue our service no matter what obstacles come our way. We should see them. We should see the obstacles as actually a benediction given to us to take further shelter of Krishna. Obstacles are not a bad thing. Obstacles are an asset to our progress in devotional service. So take the obstacles, keep the door open, let one obstacle after another come and come before you, and test you may be, but you are on Lord Chaitanya's boat, and you're destined to get to the destination you want. So be sincere, don't give up, hope, chant, and be happy. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Dear devotees, we're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute your microphones, and we all, with one voice, with one heart, joyfully chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our deepest appreciation to our revered speaker for today, His Holiness DHIRASANTA Maharaj, for sharing his love and wisdom with us all. Jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare
Rama Hare Hare Panchakalpatarvescha Kripasundabhya Tadam Pavanavebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki
Jai.
Oh, God is His Holiness DHIRASANTA Maharaj ki
Jai.
Oh, God is assembled Vaishnavi devotees ki jai.
Jai 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 Jai.